Every Sonic fan knows the big games. The classics, the legends, the ones that shaped the franchise. But every once in a while, we stumble across a game that feels like a lost chapter. A tiny, quirky, forgotten piece of Sonic history that made you go, wait, that exists? And today, we'll talk about one of those games. A game that didn't get a global release. A game that barely got marketing. A game that most Sonic fans didn't even know about until it showed up in a bonus menu years later. But it's also a game that gave us something rare, something special. A solo adventure starring Miles Tails Prower. No Sonic, no Knuckles, no Amy, just Tails. On his own, saving the day in his own way. So today, we're diving into the forgotten, whimsical, slightly weird, and surprisingly charming world of Tails' Skypatrol. I'm the optimistic Sonic fan, and I like Tails' Skypatrol. That's what I do. Tails' Skypatrol was released in 1995 for the Sega Game Gear, but only in Japan. And here's the fun twist. It wasn't originally a Sonic game at all. The game began development as a completely unrelated title. Late in production, Sega decided to rebrand it with Sonic characters to help it sell. Tails was added as the protagonist, the villains were redesigned, and suddenly this little flight-based game became part of the Sonic universe. Because it never released outside Japan, most fans didn't discover it until Sonic Adventure DX for the GameCube and Sonic Gems Collection. These collections introduced the game to a whole new audience, and for many fans, it was their first time seeing Tails in a starring role. And honestly, I'm glad it exists, because even if it's small, even if it's weird, even if it's rough around the edges, it's a piece of Sonic history worth celebrating. The story of Tails' Skypatrol is simple, and I mean storybook simple. Tails is flying over an island when he discovers that a mysterious villain named Witchcart has taken over. She's turned the island's residents into crystals and rules the land with her strange and magical contraptions. Tails, being the kind-hearted fox he is, decided to help. No Chaos Emeralds, no world-ending threats, no time travel. Just Tails, an island in trouble, and a witch on a minecart. And honestly, that's kind of refreshing. It feels like a children's book, light, whimsical, and full of charm. Now let's talk gameplay, because this is where Tails' Skypatrol stands out. Unlike most Sonic games, Tails is always flying. You never land, you never run, you're constantly moving forward, constantly drifting downward, constantly fighting gravity. Your goals are simple. Collect rings to stay airborne, throw a ring to attack enemies, avoid walls, spikes, and hazards. Rail Canyon, Forest, Castle, Factory, Final Boss Witch Cart. Each stage is short, but packed with obstacles. And because Tails is always flying, the controls can feel stiff and tricky, especially when the screen scrolls faster than you expect. It's a game that demands precision, patience, and a little bit of luck. And while it's not perfect, it's definitely memorable. Tails finally gets his own adventure. Let's be real. Tails deserves more solo games. He's brilliant. He's brave. He's resourceful. He's adorable. And Tails' Skypatrol gives him a chance to shine without Sonic overshadowing him. It's a small game, but it's a big moment for Tails' character identity. This is Tails being a hero on his own terms, not as Sonic's sidekick, but as the protagonist. The Game Gear wasn't exactly a powerhouse, but Tails' Skypatrol tries something different. A constant flight side-scrolling is unusual for the Sonic franchise, and the game deserves credit for experimenting. It's simple but creative, short but distinct, challenging but rewarding. The art style is bright and colorful, with a storybook feel. The enemies are quirky and imaginative, especially Witchcart and her bizarre henchmen. They're one-time villains, but they're memorable in their own weirdness. The game is short. You can beat it in under 20 minutes once you know what you're doing. But that makes it perfect for quick sessions, especially on handheld hardware. It's the kind of game you pick up, play, and smile at. To really appreciate Tales of Skypatrol, you have to understand the era it came from. The Game Gear was Sega's attempt to compete with the Game Boy, and while it never reached the same level of success, it became a playground for experimental Sonic titles. These titles include Sonic Drift, Sonic Drift 2, Sonic Labyrinth, Sonic Blast, Tails Adventure, and of course, Tales of Skypatrol. This was at a time when Sega wasn't afraid to try weird ideas. They were throwing everything at the wall to see what stuck. And because the Game Gear was more powerful than the Game Boy, developers could attempt more visually ambitious concepts, like a constant flight side-scroller starring Tails. So, in a way, Tales of Skypatrol is a perfect snapshot of Sega's experimental spirit. It's weird in a different way, and it's exactly the kind of game that could only exist in a handheld era. Let's talk about the villains, because honestly, they're one of the most charming parts of this game. Witch Cart. A witch on a minecart who turns people into crystals. That's not just a villain, that's a vibe. She's whimsical, she's bizarre, and she feels like she walked straight out of a children's fantasy book. And because she's a one-time character, she has this mysterious, almost mythical quality. She shows up, causes chaos, and then disappears from Sonic history forever. The Henchmen. Each stage has its own boss. Bear Trap, a bear on a minecart. Fokker Wolf, a wolf in a flying machine. Karatia, a rabbit witch, and Witch Cart herself. They're strange, they're creative, and they're unlike anything else in the Sonic franchise. These characters may never return, but they give the game its identity. They're the reason Tales of Skypatrol feels like its own little universe, a tiny pocket of Sonic history that exists outside the usual rules. Flying in Tales of Skypatrol looks simple, until you try it. The constant downward drift means you're always correct in your position. The Game Gear's limited resolution means obstacles appear quickly. And because Tails can't land, you never get a moment to breathe. This creates a gameplay loop that's tense, fast, precision-based, and surprisingly technical. It's almost like a 2D version of a shmup. Except instead of shooting constantly, you're dodging, weaving, and managing your ring fuel. It's not perfect, but it's ambitious, especially for a handheld game from 1995. One thing I really appreciate about Tales of Skypatrol is the art direction. It's bright, colorful, and whimsical, almost like a children's picture book. Each stage has a distinct theme. Rail Canyon, rustic and mechanical. Forest, lush and vibrant. Castle, gothic and mysterious. Factory, industrial chaos. The sprites are expressive. the backgrounds are detailed, and the whole game has this soft pastel charm that sets it apart from other Sonic titles. It may be small, but it's visually memorable, and that counts for a lot. Now let's talk about the real heart of this game, Tails himself. Tails of Skypatrol is one of the earliest examples of Tails being the sole hero. No Sonic to rescue, no team to support, no mentor to follow, just Tails. And that matters because Tails' character arc across the franchise is all about growing up, becoming independent, finding confidence, and proving himself. This game reinforces that theme beautifully. He sees a problem, he takes action, he saves the day, all on his own. Even if the game is short, even if it's simple, even if it's obscure, it still gives Tails a moment to shine. And honestly, that's worth celebrating, because Tails deserves more solo adventures, and this game is one of the first times he truly got to be the hero. Hey, who turned out the lights? Alright, even I can't like everything. The controls. Flying constantly means you're always drifting downward, always adjusting, always fighting the physics. It can feel stiff, slippery, and unforgiving. It's very short. 4 levels and a boss. That's it. It's charming, but it's over before it really begins. Now, Tails never gets to run. This is the big one. Tails is known for flying and running, but here he's stuck in the air the entire time. A mix of flying and platforming would have added variety and made the game feel more like a true Tails adventure. Because it wasn't originally one, you can feel the rebranding in places that it wasn't really an original Sonic game. But hey, flaws and all, it's still a fun little oddity. The soundtrack is classic 8-bit charm, upbeat, cheerful, and fitting for the game's whimsical musical tone. It's not as iconic as other Sonic music, but it complements the experience nicely. As for its legacy, Tales of Skypatrol may not be famous, but it's significant. It represents Sega experimenting, Tails stepping into the spotlight, the Game Gear's quirky creativity, a unique moment in Sonic's evolution, and thanks to re-releases, more fans have discovered it and appreciating it over time. There, I said it. Now leave me alone. Tales of Skypatrol isn't a masterpiece. It's not a classic, it's not even well known, but it's a charming, creative, and heartfelt little adventure starring one of the most lovable characters in the Sonic universe. It's a reminder that even small games can have a big heart, that even forgotten titles can bring joy, and that Tails, our brilliant, brave, two-tailed fox, deserved every chance to shine. I'm the optimistic Sonic fan, and I'll see you next time.